Yo, what's up, gang? We back at it again with another video today, baby. And this is something a little different that I'm doing. So today we are actually going to be ranking the fights that broke the community. Yeah, you heard it. Fights that broke the community. I'm talking like these events were so tough at the time that literally the whole community was in shambles. And I remember I was here for a lot of these events that came around, except for one. When this one event first came around, this is the one I wasn't here for, but I heard all over Reddit how people were tripping off it so hard. But we're finna get to that. So I'm gonna give my little hit pieces on some of these events, and then I'll do my rankings. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video, baby. Okay, so for the first event that I'm gonna pit at number 5. This is an event that definitely broke the community for sure. This is Festival of Battles. Now, when it comes to Festival of Battles, this is a 50 phase fight. Remember, 50 phases. And at minimum, this is at least taking like 2 hours, like 2 to 2.5 hours minimum. Right. And, you know, it hurts as a player when you get so far into an event and then you might get cucked to like the charge counts that this event has. And that's what makes it hard. It's the charge counts. Like you have to beat it in under like a certain amount of charges. And if you don't, you just automatically lose. And then on top of that, hold on, let me see if I can pull up the event real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, so let's talk to him. 50 phases. You got 50 phases of enemies that you have to beat, that you have to go through, each getting stronger and stronger every turn. Now, everything's all fine and dandy till you get to these boys right here. Between them, they have 16. No, literally, like, let's see, 800 million, 16 million. No, it's like 1.6 billion, if I'm not mistaken. 1.6 billion defense between the two of them, or HP between the two of them. They're hitting dummy hard, bro. I mean, look, one super attack from this guy, 17 million. Same from this guy, 17 million, bro. And their normals are doing 5 million each. These guys are probably the gateway before, or the gatekeepers before getting into these two behemoths right here. Now, the Daima Goku and Glorio, these guys, they will, depending on what character gets supered, they're literally the run enders. These guys are your run enders right here. Now, once you can make it past these two cocksuckers right here, and this is when you get to this guy. Now, this Gogeta, once I finally got past the guy in Daima Goku and Glorio stage, he wasn't too hard. It was just more so you had to knock him out within the 12 charge counts. Same with this Vegito. But this Vegeta right here, I think he's supering. Yeah, supering for 24 million damage. 24 million, and no unit is living 24 million unless you either dodge or you counter. But here's the thing though. By the time you get to this Vegito phase, you would have already stacked your Tech Vegito to the highest point you can. Save your fusion actives, let all your actives go, and then watch Vegito do those 9, literally the max crit damage counters that you'll ever see, bro. Literally max crit damage, and you'll probably phase this guy out within like one turn. You know what I mean? So Festival of Battles, a lot of everybody in the community didn't like this event because how long it was. It wasn't the fact that it was too hard, it was just how long it took. Then at the top of it, once you hit like these last 3 phases, this is when you can actually get one shot. Well, no, these last 4 phases, these are the ones you can get one shot pretty easy. So it's not more so the charge counts, it's just the length of this event that kind of tore the community up. But as far as difficulty, Festival of Battles, it is one of the hardest fights in the game due to the charge counts. But I know more so people are complaining just because of how long it takes the event to do. Like I said, my run that I have on YouTube is like 2 hours and 43 minutes just in this event alone. So that's a testament to how Dokkan said this is going to be the hardest event in Dokkan history. And they definitely didn't lie about that. You know, a lot of people were doubting how hard this was going to be because of our elite stacking characters, but no, this was hard. This is hard, and it's annoying when you lose and you're like so deep into the fight. All right, so next up, this is another event that had the community in shambles. And I know everybody's going to remember this event fine and dandy. I'm talking like This event right here sunned a lot of the biggest Dokkanners in the game. I'm talking like this is a fight that Dokkan dropped that literally they knocked it out of the park in terms of difficulty, but in terms of like shocking the community with how unrealistically difficult this was. Cell Max. Let's bring him up. Now, so when it came to this Cell Max right here, this is the Cell Max that came out in a celebratory challenge event that came out during the release of Superhero. And I remember this came out maybe like in the summer. Let's see, I think Superhero came out in 22. Might have been 22 or 23. No, I think Superhero might have came out in 23. Don't quote me on that. I think Superhero came out in 23. But this event right here, this Cell Max event, or you got to remember, the best unit that we had at the time was Vegeta and Trunks, the Int father-son Galagun duo. They were the best, tankiest unit we had at the time. And, you know, it'd be easy because we'd speed blitz through this Cell Max right here and then this Cell Max. Once we got to Extreme Tech Cell Max, holy... Dude, this guy at the time was hitting for 1.8 million damage. That was the most damage we've ever seen in the game at that time. I mean, now this is like baby food to a lot of these characters, but think about it. At the time, dude, 1.8 million damage. No unit in the game was living this. Literally, even into Vegeta and Trunks was getting fodderized by this guy. Like, and you wouldn't even get enough time to stack either to like actually build up any defense. Like the only way you could really beat this fight was to cheese it with Int Hercule at the time. But once they started releasing a lot more superhero characters like the Gammas, Beastless Gohan, Orange Piccolo, Pan, all those Johns, like this is when this event actually started getting fodderized. You know what I mean? So Fearsome Activation Cell Max, like this event at the time was the hardest event that we had ever seen. And Dokkan said this would only be like a one-time thing in terms of events like this, like where the event was so powerful that no unit in the game could realistically beat it unless your RNG was just lucky. Like this was just an RNG fest right here. Let's be honest. Tech Cell Max, this guy was an absolute menace. As soon as you seen that super attack coming, it was like PTSD, man, because you just knew you're about to get one shot and literally and the run was over. Now, when it comes to the horrendous calamity stage, this was definitely a lot harder. Because this Cell Max, he was actually doing a lot. I think he changes typing every turn, if I'm not mistaken. He had a huge HP pool at the time. Yeah, 2 million. Like, so this is when this Cell Max is actually doing some really heavy damage. Okay, I don't think this is the one that changes typings. I think this is just the one that stayed as STR. Dang, I mean, they released like 3 or 4 Cell Max fights. So let's just show you how popular of an enemy he is and how easy it is for them to make him like that powerful. And if I remember correctly, when they dropped this Cell Max right here, they said they wanted to bring to life how powerful he actually was, like in the movie, like bring it to the game. And boy, was this guy powerful. You know, our units were not hitting hard enough to survive long enough to not get sniped by the super. And he could super twice in one turn and he locked. So this is just an odd, this Cell Max right here is a legit demon. And now he's complete fodder. But I remember at the time people were going off about this fight, saying like how unfair it was. Like, if one of the main arguments for what makes a fight good is if you don't have to cheese it. If you have to cheese a fight, and this goes for like almost any fight in any game genre, especially I know for a fact, like From Software titles, if you have to cheese a fight, then it's not a good fight. I could say the same for this one. If you had to cheese this fight, then it wasn't good. It was just unrealistically hard for no reason. But we're past those days now. Like this Cell Max is complete fodder, like 60 million HP. Like, come on, gang. But yeah, so this would be my, I put Cell Max at number 4 because of how much noise he was doing in the community at the time. Because then we didn't really have any real superhero characters back then. We didn't have any superhero characters to really deal any real damage to this guy. So yeah, so this Cell Max was pretty hard. I remember this. I didn't beat him for like another year. Until we started getting those superhero characters, I didn't really beat him for like another year. That's how tough he was. All right, so now for the next event that pretty much broke the community, This is definitely an event that definitely deserves its flowers. And I know a lot of people watching this video, if you were around at this time, you could definitely agree. It's going to be the Dismal Future Red Zone. So let me go ahead and bring that up real quick. All right. So when it came to the Dismal Future Red Zone, this was worldwide downloads 2023. Now, I remember when this event first came out, the first two stages, like the 17 and 18, they're kind of like nothing. You know, this fight was really easy, but it wasn't until you got to First Form Cell, that's when this guy was just hitting dumb hard. He was tanky and he was hitting dumb hard. I mean, at least for the units we had at the time. Like, look, you go from like a little over a million right here, like barely any HP. Then you go to this guy who's doing 1.3, but dude, this guy is legit like tanking. Like this cell was pretty hard. Like 2023 was a doozy because this is when we got the the EZAs for the 5th year fusions. I mean, they were tearing it up for the most part, but this guy, he was on another level. It's like you take level 1 and then they go to like level 5 on this guy. I remember that. This cell was pretty hard to beat. Now you go to this Goku Black right here, and he was another menace. Like now we're reaching into the 2 millions right here. Right. And remember, I think this fight dropped during like the first wave of like worldwide download characters. So, I mean, as soon as we got those characters, it was looking pretty smooth. But let me tell you something. Not these boys. Not these boys. Bro, this Fusion Zamasu right here. Bro. Guys, don't sit. If you're around for this fight, don't sit here and tell me how you weren't raging so hard over how like difficult this guy was. This Fusion Zamasu, bro. You look at his AoEs. Look at that. 500k, dude. Half the units that year were not surviving this fight. Even after Worldwide Download Celebration was over, they kept dropping characters that could not handle this fight. It was so annoying. A lot of the characters in 2023 were not equipped for this fight. I don't know what Dokkan was thinking. 2023 was a weird year. A lot of the units felt underwhelming and underpowered versus the fights were just dummy hard. Like, think about it. I remember this guy, he was shelling out super slot 1, turn 1. Right? If the wrong unit was in slot 1 and you weren't ready for that super, you were done. It was over, bro. You were most likely getting one shot. And then on top of these AoEs that hit the characters that weren't really good that weren't really good before they supered, like he was piecing up your rotations, bro. Literally, this Fusion Zamasu was giving your rotations the work. And on top of that, now you got to go to this guy right here who just hits even more hard. He's not doing AoEs, which is fine, but dude, I remember how many tries it took me to actually beat him. And now he was hitting like the close to the 2 million super attack threshold. Like this Fusion Zamasu fight, this is going to go down as one of the hardest fights that I think this game has ever seen yet. And I remember this fight very vividly. This fight gave a lot of people, let's just say, nightmares. And we had another iteration of this guy during the 10th anniversary, and everybody thought this was about to be the Fusion Zamasu second coming. But it wasn't really that difficult. This guy was more difficult in his 2023 era than what he was in the 2025 era. But to be fair, Fusion Zamasu, like we can't sit here and say that this boy wasn't piecing up the Dokkan community left and right. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. I mean, we can have these conversations now. Let's not forget, because I didn't forget. That's why I have the Dismal Future Red Zone at number 3, because alone, just that Fusion Zamasu fight alone, he was even giving the biggest content creators the work. You know what I mean? Even everybody with all rainbowed characters, he was still giving those guys the work. So Fusion Zamasu definitely deserves to be at the top of this, or in this top 5 for sure. All right, now this is another event that had the Dokkan community in shambles. Really, this is probably one of the most controversial ones in my opinion, and I think this is a well-deserved pick in the top 5. It's gonna be Red Zone Broly. Yeah, Red Zone Broly. All right, let's talk about it. So, couple of key things, right? So this is the 7th anniversary, right? We just had a huge meta reset. now we're rocking characters that are having 200% leader skills, completely a whole new meta, right? And now we are facing bosses that are equipped to basically counter 200% leader skills. So this was the first character right here that was, I probably say this Broly right here was the character that was just hit the millions and was still basically one-shotting almost all of our characters. And to think at the time, when they reset the meta, probably like 90% of everyone's boxes were completely unrunnable. Think about that. Imagine going from, imagine pre-red zone, like your box was pretty stacked. Just for them to completely wipe out 90% of your box, and and a lot of those characters are not runnable. Like these characters in the red zone, they were just hitting way too hard for the defense that your characters had at the time. And you could only use really the select few, which is the 7th anniversary LRs and the easy A's that came after that. Like if you weren't, you'd be lucky. Some characters, maybe like Tech, Kale, and Caulifla, AGL Android 17 or AGL Android Super or AGL Super 17 could definitely hold his own. But still, like even those characters were getting pieced up pretty hard. Like this Broly right here, dude, he was probably like the hardest fight that we had ever seen. One of the hardest fights we'd ever seen. Because think about it, like I said, we had the meta reset. 90% of our box was completely unusable in this event. And if you didn't have the 7th anniversary LRs, you weren't beating this event. Let's be honest. If you didn't have the 7th anniversary LRs, you were not beating this event. You definitely weren't no item running it. That's for sure. Like a no item run, you could forget about it. Even if you did have them, like it took months, if not months, no, it had to have been months. Cause I remember these guys, they had daily resets. So you can only challenge this event so many times before you had to wait for the reset. So it took some people months to get a no item run on this event. That's how hard it was. That's how hard this event was. And this Broly, he was double supering for 1.2 million each turn. So you had a chance to double super in one turn and completely kill your rotation. Let's not talk about this guy right here because he had the AoE, right? Think about it. Any units at that time, you really think they were living at 840k AoE to all characters in the party on that rotation? And you couldn't even dodge either. You can't dodge in this fight whatsoever. So like you have to take those hits. That's what made this guy so hard. And I remember the community, dude, they were saying like how unfair it was, like how Dokkan is, like how power creep is getting too out of control. But now this fight, it just feels like a Dokkan event at this point. Like think about it, 50 million HP, like bro, that was the big cheese back then. But now this is like, bro, like this Broly right here, we're treating him like a Dokkan event now. That's how powerful our characters got. But can't sit here and say that this Broly wasn't terrorizing the Dokkan community during the 7th anniversary. I remember that clear as day. I had only been playing for like a couple of months at the time. Like I started playing during the 6th anniversary. So any character that came out before the 6th anniversary, for the most part, was not going to be runnable in this event. Think about it. Like this is literally like after Nameku and Full Power Frieza dropped. Then when this Broly came out, like they were completely unrunnable. Like they were not beating this Broly. So I think he definitely deserves one of the top 5 spots for sure. I have him at number 2 just because of how polarizing of a fight it was. But a lot of these fights, we definitely got better characters to handle these stages. So they weren't that bad at the time. Now looking back, they really weren't that bad, but it was a big talk in the community for sure. Now this event I wasn't around for because I started playing in 2021, but I remember looking at some of the old Reddit threads of like how toxic this event was. And let's just go ahead and bring it to the forefront. Super Battle Road and Extreme Super Battle Road. Now, I was looking at some of these Reddit threads on how people were talking like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I got one shot by Chaozu, or I got one shot by Yamcha. And a lot of people didn't understand like this event out the gate was hitting hard turn 1. Like this is one of these events where you know, I guess during the meta at the time, let's see. I think the meta, it might have been like Neo Gods leaders or like same type leader skills or whatever, like same typings. And a lot of these missions that they dropped, it's literally I think the first 10 missions were same typing. So you had to beat it with like super AGL or extreme AGL, you know, all those teams, right? And at the time, I think extreme tech was probably one of the worst categories to basically try to beat this with. Extreme tech. Even I remember like trying to do extreme tech at the time. I didn't even have any really good characters. You know what I mean? And depending on what team you were running at the time, if you didn't have the units, like you probably weren't going to beat this because of how hard these enemies were hitting. And Super Battle Road, Extreme Super Battle Road, it's still pretty hard till this day. I mean, not Super Battle Road, but Extreme Super Battle Road. If they tune up the characters to like the new leader skills and power, then okay, you might be in trouble. But now we have Battle Hardened Formidable Foes, which is actually a harder version of, it's basically modern day Super Battle Road and Extreme Super Battle Road, but this isn't even that polarizing really, because at the time, like nobody was really expecting these events to hit so hard. And like I said, I wasn't around at the time that this dropped, but like I said, I was looking at the Reddit threads and people were not happy about this. People were not happy for a while. People were not happy. Like, okay, hold on. Let's go into the Super Battle Road thing real quick. Hold on. All right, so boom. So yeah, Super Battle Road, and the first 10 stages were versus same type teams. Now, like I said, if you're doing extreme tech, like you could forget about it. Like at that time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these guys were hitting dummy hard. And I'm thinking about it, defense wasn't really a thing back then. You know what I'm saying? It was just basically you attack and try to brute force your way through. But defense wasn't really a thing. So which is why these characters were hitting so hard than what they should have. You know what I'm, oh no, this is versus extreme tech. Hold on. No, yeah, this is Extreme Tech Super Battle Road. Yeah. Well, no, you had to use Extreme Tech. Hold on. Am I tripping right now, chat? But yeah, anyway, I mean, as you can see, these guys are hitting in the 300Ks. I mean, that's nothing compared to now. But like I said, a lot of units back then didn't have any defensive capabilities. So I can see why people were complaining mad hard about Super Battle Road. I mean, think about it. You know, let's say back then you pulled STR Goku Black Rose, right? STR Goku Black Rose. And he gets basically annihilated by Chaozu. You're gonna be like, bro, what the fuck? Chaozu? No. I gotta run this back just for you to get obliterated by Chaozu again. Like that can hurt a lot of egos. But when it comes to all these events, I think these are probably like the top 5 when it came to like how big that they made an uproar in the community. I mean, a lot of these other events down here, I mean, there's some good runner-ups, but they weren't anything like very, 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 very controversial. You know what I mean? Not like these boys. Because I remember I was here for these 4. And I remember how big these guys were in the Dokkan community, making the most noise. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I think these are probably like the solid top 5 events that broke the community. Let me know if you have anything otherwise that you think probably was a lot more impactful. Like I said, I think this is a pretty good top 5 contender. We got Super Battle Road, Extreme Super Battle Road, the movie bosses Red Zone in the 7th anniversary, the Dismal Future Red Zone, Activation, Cell Max, and then Festival of Battles. I think these are like the top 5 hardest events that I think this community has ever seen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.